Hey, well, yeah, it's raining outside. I don't know if you can hear it on the top of the shed, but anyway, I'm wearing this t-shirt today because I'm going to be talking about how you choose guitars or how insanely confusing it is to try and choose a guitar, particularly when you're totally new and, oh my god, different shapes, jumbo, dreadnought, baby, grand auditorium, whether it's got a cutout or not, this little bit, or if it's round. Um, and then all of a sudden you fall into the idea that there are tone woods, whether it's Sitka or oak or 1,000-year-old bogwood, all sorts of other stuff. Um, and the top and the back and the sides and the neck and the fretboard and the bridge, um, whether it's layered or solid. And you have these codes, each of the different companies, Taylor, Martin, Maton, whoever, they have these codes where the first part is about the size and the second part is about the wood and what level it is. You know, for Taylor's, it's 100 is kind of the basic entry and 800 is somewhere near the super expensive end, and then you have custom stuff, whatever. Um, and one of the things about acoustics is it feels a little bit less geared towards um, particular players. With electrics, it feels like there's an association between these guys play a Les Paul, these guys play a Strat, these guys play a such and such. It feels like there's less an obvious sense of that in the acoustic world. Maybe I'm just not paying attention. It also feels like there's an awful lot more choice in the acoustic space, way more confusing, way more options, even though within a Fender Strat you have a gazillion different kinds or whatever. But one of the things which is slightly confusing for me is that if I listen to them, I can't hear the difference unless I'm playing one, then the next, and then one, then the next, and switching back and forth. And you get people that can hear the difference between certain kinds of strings and have a string preference. I've got no idea. And I'm always amazed that guitar shops will let you sit in there for fucking ages. When I bought this guitar, I was in there for over 2 hours. I had to go off and top up my parking. And they were completely cool with it. I mean, in a way, you're dropping in a ton of money, and for something that you are or aren't going to play, and hopefully are going to play for ages. But even so, they are enormously generous with their time, and you sit there making all sorts of shit noises in the shop, and they don't seem to mind that much. I guess they're used to it. And you get people that go in there who are super good, and that must be fun. And then you get people like me who go in there and play all sorts of basic shit, and it must be so boring to hear the same person play the same 25 songs or the same 3 songs over and over, choosing between this guitar or that guitar or this guitar or that guitar. And a couple of things that I wish I'd known before buying an acoustic guitar is, first of all, how super sensitive guitars are to humidity. And when I bought this one, I actually bought a hygrometer. There's a word you don't hear every day. Like a humidity checker, right? Because the first time I took a guitar in to get it exchanged, the first one I bought, it was warped. The second one I took in, it was warped, even though I'd been more careful. And you could actually see it visibly in the neck. It had twisted. It was like a curve. You couldn't see it. You could see it to the naked eye. And you don't realize until you kind of fall down that rabbit hole of acoustic guitars, and particularly luthiers, and how madly engineered and sensitive guitars are, that it is a finely engineered, mad piece of kit. The fact that this is actually a soundboard, and the wood that you use changes the way it works, and the shape of it changes the way it works. The strings, the side, the back, it sounds different. People who know what they're talking about and can tell the difference, you see them kind of tapping wood and listening to it or whatever. And it's slightly nuts that you can get to that level. And I've seen an interview with this guy, and they showed sort of sonic graphs of the way that different woods work and how they vibrate. And so, of course, guitars are super sensitive to humidity because it changes shape and the sound changes. And what's kind of curious is that cheaper guitars are less sensitive to humidity. So the the fancier you get, the more skittish they become sonically, humidity wise. So I've also got a dehumidifier that I bought. And this is the third guitar that I bought. The first one I bought secondhand online, 300 quid. I just thought, I'm going to give this a go. And if I'm still with it, I'll upgrade if I want to. So I bought a Tanglewood, whatever, Dreadnought, kind of fairly big size. And that was cool. And I was still with it a year later. And then I bought the next one, which was a Martin, brand new, solid wood, Dreadnought. And it was dark wood. It wasn't the kind of the brown and then kind of creamy coloured on top. That was one of the reasons why I chose it. It was also the cheapest big name brand that I could buy that was totally made of solid wood. And at that time, I thought that solid wood was better. But actually, it's not necessarily. Layered can actually be better, depending on how it's made. I didn't know that stuff. Okay, this is part 2 of the video. Slightly annoyingly, my camera just stopped, or it stopped recording. Quick Player decided it had had enough of my bullshit, so it shut me up. Anyway, where was I? So this is my third guitar, and the reason I bought this one is because I had a much better sense of what it was that I wanted. I had a Dreadnought before. That's the kind of the standard big size, but in a way it was too big for me. It was too big that way and too big this way. So where I was strumming didn't really hit over the sweet spot, and maybe I moved my arm, but it's kind of comfortable where I wanted to go. I also bought this guitar because I didn't want it to look the same as all of the other guitars. So they're all kind of light brown or beige on the front, and it's spruce quite often. Sitka spruce is a really common one. And I saw this thing a while ago. A guy from Anderton said that most people know which guitar they're buying before they go into the shop. They just go in to kind of prove themselves right. And actually, I didn't go in looking for this one. I knew it was there. It was secondhand. But there was another one which was new. That was the one I had my eye on. It was still a Taylor. It was actually of the same range but slightly lower spec. But this was almost new, and for some reason I semi-preferred it. And part of it was because it looked different, because it didn't have... It's actually grey. You can see, if you look at it in the right light, the wood grains underneath. So it's not black, even if it looks like it on video. And I played it, and I played the other one, and I could hear a fractional difference. And for some reason, well, actually, mostly for a budget reason, I went for this one because it meant I could buy more stuff to come with it. So I wanted to buy a hygrometer at this time. I'd learnt my lesson to say that actually I needed to know what the humidity was supposed to be, between 45 and 55%. And actually here in the shed, it varies massively depending on the season and also the weather. I live in the northwest and it rains all the fucking time. Anyway, I also wanted to buy humidity packs to go inside, and it came with a hard case, and so that's the one that I got. And actually, in a way, my advice would be change guitars as you go along. There's this guy in the States, and he talks about a guitarsenal. Have as many guitars as you can have, and you have quite often these people who buy a guitar and they're learning to play guitar and they're kind of retired or whatever. That's his kind of niche in the market. And obviously these guys have disposable income, and you have these people who've been playing guitar for 2 years and they've got fucking 7 guitars. I mean, all of a sudden you're talking about £8,000 worth of guitars, and who's got that kind of money? I don't. I've got nowhere near that. So I trade them in. When I have an electric, which was way cheaper. So I would say, choose the guitar, the best one you can afford, because they do sound better and different. But also, choose the one that makes you want to play it. So when you go in and listen to it, listen to how does it feel? I like Taylor's. I like this one, partly because I knew that Taylor was a big name, and their as sustainably built as you can. They're actually quite a green company. Admittedly, it's shipped in from the US or Mexico, but on the whole, they think very carefully about the source of wood and the impact on the environment and those kinds of things. So choose the guitar that makes you want to play. And I think of Mike McCready, who says, just do whatever it takes to make you want to play the most. And I think that sounds like a really good thing. Pick a guitar that you want to play. If it's because you like the look of it, because you like the sound of it, whatever, just go for that. Choose the guitar that you love for whatever reason. Anyway, here's on to the bit that nobody's been waiting for, which is where I'm going to play a song and you have to guess what it is. So, might as well turn the amp on. Let's see how this goes. I quite often have to do many takes, but I'll give this one a go. The B's went a bit funny, but hey, I hate bees, but they're necessary evil. Cheers, name that tune. Also, if you like this or if you hate it, either way, and you want to keep watching, do like, dislike, I guess, subscribe or comment. Cheers.